Thank you to the Minister for that warm welcome to Lahti, which leads us excellently to our first keynote speaker. Because as you have noticed, we are in this city for this year's Nordregio. We are in Finland because Finland holds the 2025 Nordic Council of Ministers chairmanship. And we are in Lahti because, well, you were supposed to be here some years ago and didn't succeed, but also because it is an easily accessible and yet a city and yet an opportunity to get out of a capital, which is where we always tend to be. So what could be more appropriate than to have a keynote from the city's mayor on local leadership every day, and very fitting for the agenda of the conference, also in times of crisis. So please welcome Niko Kyynäräinen, the mayor of Lahti.
Thank you. Where do you know that the seminar is held in Finland? You see it that every hour you have a coffee break. So that's the basic element of our dark days here in Finland in Lahti. So of course warmly welcome on my behalf in Lahti and this Nordregio Forum. Well, just shortly to say, of course, Rolf, we will host you a ski jumping event also during these days in Lahti, so it's only 120 or 30 meters that you will jump there, but you will cope with it. But actually, what I'm going to talk, actually the minister actually pointed out quite many of the topics that of course I'm talking about. But basically, I try to give some examples how we do it here in Lahti and how we cope with and cooperate with different actors and parties. Shortly to say about Lahti, so we are a city that we are a young city that has learned to adapt and lead in everyday life and during crises. We are the 9th largest city, actually the 6th fastest growing city at this moment in Finland, and the regional capital here in Päijät-Häme. Home about 120 to 23,000 residents. Our location, as already mentioned, quite close by to the capital, quite in the center, and of course these Lake Vesijärvis and these shorts and the Salpausselkä Ridge are the main reasons why we are here actually. Our Salpausselkä Ridge is also a UNESCO Global Geopark. So we are a strong transport link and a logistical hub basically here in the southern part of Finland. So when thinking of what Lahti is, we are of course, as already mentioned, known about for famous ski jumping towers, major annual events. We have had Ironman Triathlon World Championships here. The swimming was actually started just close by here. So we are a home for big worldwide known events. But then, of course, have to mention this Sibelius Hall, a very beautiful hall, but of course our world-famous Lahti Symphony Orchestra hosts its concerts here in Sibelius Hall, but they also circulate all around the world. You will visit also the Malva Museum of Arts and Design. It's actually nominated for a candidate to be the best museum in the whole Europe this year. So hopefully, of course, we will win it. But you will see why we are going to win it. It's a really beautiful museum, quite new actually. We of course host education and research here in Lahti with our LUT University and our Lab University of Applied Sciences. Also the University of Helsinki is located here in Lahti. So when thinking of our history of kind of a transformation, we have been 120 years ago basically a small village here in the shore of Lake Vesijärvi. Then, well, just to say about what happened in Finland, of course, after the Second World War, quite many Karelians moved to other parts of Finland, and actually 11,000 of them came here in Lahti, and also came quite a lot of entrepreneurship, industrial elements, and the rapid growth of Lahti started after that. And we came actually, because of this change, a very significant industrial hub in Finland. In the 1970s, and at some point we were actually the fastest growing city in the whole Finland. But then, of course, there was quite a big collapse here in Lahti in the early 90s. It was a big disaster. Unemployment rate were something like 27% here. So quite many of our industrial base actually collapsed. But we had, fortunately, we had also in this, so to say, backbone family-based companies. So they don't just look at quarter of a year. They are in the business for 25 years or 250 years. So they are the industrial backbone which actually survived during the crisis in the 1990s. And of course, nowadays we have developed to be the international pioneer of sustainability. Private sector, of course, is our key element, how we also, of course, how cooperate, but also how we survive in different eras. The new city strategy, Lahti Enduring Change, vision for 2035 is to be a modern ecological university city where businesses thrive and citizens live meaningful lives. These are, of course, big things to work for, but we are in the good way for doing that. We also have a major recent investments which supports this growth, what is happening in our cities. Of course, resilience means more than just surviving. It's about thriving after disruptions. Private sector partnership are essential for building that resilience. We are hope for Fazer's new 400 million euros chocolate factory, which will open in 27-28. We are just launched 1.2 billion euros investment for data center. Of course, data is a big change what is happening in cities. It will be something like we have been talking about heat, electricity, water. Data is of course one of these key elements for the cities in the future. And of course, with these investments, we also try to be CO2 free in 28. These investments also actually are CO2 free production, long-term jobs, and of course tax revenue for our city. Nordic Rengas hydrogen plan is of course one thing what we are looking for, and it will be kind of a positions in Lahti in future energy solutions. One key kind of a thing for us was the Green Capital Year 21, which you couldn't host this event here in Lahti, but that was actually a kind of a turning point for our long development in sustainability. Diversity economic base is actually one thing, which means that you are less vulnerable for different shocks. We have accelerated green and digital transition in that sense. Climate partners, network companies commit to shared climate goals, example of city business collaboration. Then when looking what has happened in these years, actually you are looking at the key element why the whole transition actually started. When I was a young child, nobody actually wanted to be here alongside the Lake Vesijärvi. It was so polluted, it smelled bad, and it wasn't really a kind of a living room for our citizens. And what really actually happened at that time was a decision that was made by the citizens, by the local companies, by the city and by the university that this development has to stop and we have to clean this lake. It must be in the future for our children and even the residents nowadays a living room where you can enjoy the nature. We actually in 76 already stopped the raw wastewater discharge. In 87, Vesijärvi first project started and it was actually world's largest food web restoration. In 96, environmental ecology established. That was actually at the same time when Gro Harlem Brundtland led the first joint acts in UN. So Lahti was already doing something when the whole world was basically just thinking of how to cope with things. We started our waste separation system and today only 0.5% of household waste goes to landfill, actually. In 2019, we said goodbye to coal. Bioenergy plant cut CO2 emissions by 600,000 tons annually. And that was, of course, a big investment and big decisions to made. We actually gave the last small bag of coal that was left here in Lahti to Helsinki, which still burned the coal. So that was our last big little present for them. So of course Helsinki is doing better nowadays. Then of course 2021 the European Green Capital and we wanted to show also for the rest of the Europe how you do digging the hands in the soil and really doing the environmental work. And then after that we have of course continued and we have been selected also as one of the EU's 100 climate neutral cities in 2022. We also have a very ambitious goals for the future. We will be the climate neutral city as Finland's first major city. We already have a decision made that we want to be nature positive by 2030 and then the circular city by 2050. How we do it is already somehow mentioned in my presentation. So the citizen engagement and ownership is the key element. So basically sustainability is stronger when everybody is involved. Examples, we are doing dialogue model for children and youth, so basically happens in everyday work. We have partnership round tables for local democracy and community vitality. And then of course we have this climate partnership where 35 different organizations are committed to emission reduction alongside our city. So these different kind of partnership models where you have actions going on are very, very significant. Of course, have to mention also that participation builds trust and readiness for crises. Actually launched just a couple of months ago, we started climate education and mentoring for youth, where mentors are trying to find ways for youth to participate in society, how to influence in different situations and how to do this kind of work. So you don't just have to think about the bad, what is happening in the world, but you can really influence, and that is what they are mentoring for youth. Then we have a participatory budgeting and shared decision making going on, and also a nature-based well-being near hospital. So that's a kind of a health forest issue. So of course we have just a couple of hundreds of meters from every location of our city to go in the forest. So you can say that basically we have health forest all around, but we have also pointed out some health forest where you can go and enjoy it. Basically, this One Health or planetary health is a big key issue for our health in general. You can easily, if you have loss of iron, you take a pill. So if you have a loss of magnesium, you take a pill. But also you can find to different studies how your body is influenced because you have a lack of nature in your body. And we have doctors that nowadays give prescriptions to the patients if they find that you are lacking the nature in your body, so they give prescriptions to go to nature. Dig your hands in the mud and then your whole body system will be better. This is a multiple billion euros issues because we are all people nowadays in the Nordic country, we are living in too clean places, and that is influencing our body. So these kind of elements are happening. So then also have to mention about the local government's role in Finland's readiness strategy, which actually Minister Puisto already talked about. So Finland's comprehensive security principle is that all sectors cooperate. That's not easy. That is not what just is easy to say how it happens, but you really need to do different efforts in everyday life. So what Lahti contributes to this is that we have clear leadership and crisis coordination structures in our city, but it is also alongside in the regional level and also in the state level. So of course, internal security with police, rescue and health authorities, and yet again cooperating and studying it and rehearsing it in everyday life. So of course, you are looking in the infrastructure continuity, so what happens to the water, energy, transport, etc. One actually very significant thing is the social services and communication for psychological resilience, and this is a thing what we have also learned during the Ukraine crisis. So how big thing actually the communication is and how to do it. For example, in Lahti, we have nowadays approximately 14% of our population come from different parts of the world. So you need to also communicate in different languages, in different cultural backgrounds. This was also learned during the COVID crisis, so how you communicate in different levels. And of course, implementing EU and NATO frameworks locally, so that's a big element. So then, of course, mentioning some project that will also look into the future. So what will happen because we will develop different kind of environmental crises. So we have, for example, a project with looking into adapting to heat waves and urban heat islands. So of course, now some of the people here in Finland says that why? So it's cold here, so why to look in the heat? But also there will be, and there has already been a very big heat spikes here in Finland. So we need to find some methods of cooperating in that element. Then of course the stormwater strategies for heavy rainfalls. Then already mentioned about the nature step to health, so linking biodiversity and well-being together, a very big project and hopefully a big European thing to look in the future. Then also the circular economy in demolition and material reuse and really trying to find business out of it also so that it will happen sooner than later. And then also the decarbonation of and smart mobility projects. Why to do this also in the Nordic and national network? So crises are cross borders, so cyber attacks, extreme weather, energy shortages, so on. So we are actually working in the same kind of a world. I am now also a participant of Bloomberg London School of Economics City Leadership Initiative, and there we mayors also look into actually the same kind of crisis in different part of Europe and how to cope with it together. So cooperation benefits, of course, you know it, that we share intelligence and early warnings, access to resources and expertise, and we have a clear, consistent communication going on between each other. We were just talking about the sister city collaboration with, for example, here in Lahti. Every year we cooperate with the sister cities in Nordics, and Randers is our sister city in Denmark. So with these elements we can actually communicate and do stronger resilience for global challenges. So my takeaways are actually that collaboration isn't optional. It's our strongest tool. We need to make sure that Lahti is not just prepared, but connected, informed, and ready to lead. By closing my presentation, I will also show you a brand new video or animation of our 120 years anniversary, which also shows kind of a resilience road from the early days of Lahti to today's world and to the future. Turning challenges into opportunities through collaboration is a key element, and leadership on my behalf is a daily work, not just crisis response. I invite you to enjoy your stay here in Lahti and continue building resilience together. So now let's look into the video.
Hello. Lahti calling. The Chicago of Finland. Business city. The Temptation Island capital. Nicknames come and go, but my true identity will only be revealed once you know and understand my full story. People have been drawn to these landscapes of mine since the Stone Age. The oldest settlements in Finland were found in Ristola, in the Renkomäki district of Lahti. The area around the Salpausselkä Ridge has always been a good place to live. And what's more, hidden deep below me, there are abundant supplies of groundwater, the world's best tasting water. It was quiet here in this small hammer village. Very quiet, all the way up to the end of the 19th century. But then, things started to happen. Transport connections improved and opened me up to the world. The fire of 1877 could have been the end of me, but it turned out to be a new beginning. The burned-out village was replaced with a grid layout, with broad streets and a market square. It created room to move and space for encounters. I became a center of commerce. In 1905, a medal was pinned to my chest. I was granted city status. I had only 3,000 inhabitants, but we had the right attitude. Our new town hall cost more than twice the city's annual budget. Eliel Saarinen's town hall, and later Alvar Aalto's Church of the Cross, and the Mariankatu ceremonial avenue, which connects the two, remain my distinguishing features to this day. During the war years, around 10,000 people came to me from Karelia, and with them, they brought entrepreneurship, craftsmanship, sport and culture. This lively crowd became a part of my story and left a lasting impression. Without the cultural heritage of Viborg, I would not be the city of music, art and sport that I am today. Those post-war years were booming. I was a powerhouse. I produced jobs, furniture, clothing, metal and lumber. I grew so fast that in all the frenzy, I forgot my most precious asset, nature. My lake, which had once been teeming with life, became murky and polluted. Fortunately, my brave citizens decided to solve that problem and cleaned up Lake Vesijärvi. I realized that development cannot be growth alone. With development comes responsibility. And as proof of this new era, environmental technology experts and companies took an interest in me. I had the honor of being the 2021 European Green Capital. This was another decisive new beginning in my story. I still have a burning desire for growth, but now that growth is sustainable. As a leading eco-city, I want to set an example for other European cities. The determination of my citizens has already saved me many a time. Many people still remember the 1990s recession. There were times when uncertainty clouded our entire future. The Suurmäki ski jump tower, affectionately known as betoni, concrete, is a symbol of my raw courage. Stark perhaps, but reaching lofty heights. The Lahti Ski Games have garnered international attention for more than 100 years. I have already hosted a record number of Nordic World Ski Championships and will welcome the world's best athletes again in 2029. From here, at the foot of my radio masts, our culture has also been carried out into the world and reached lofty heights. Our creators generate well-being and pride for us all, both here at home and in the international arena. When we joined forces with Nastola, it strengthened us both. LUT University brought an even bigger change, an influx of young people, companies and new international connections. I am now a university city, and I'm also reaching out to the world through my university. I no longer measure my development by growth alone. Now I also gauge it through understanding. and the ability to make better choices. I know my history, and I know where I'm headed. For me, hello, Lahti calling is both a precious memory of the past and an inspiring invitation to the Lahti of the future.
Thank you. Just a few questions before we let you go. There was a question from the audience that came in via Menti, and please let me remind you to keep them coming. You talk about the growth, and you talk about how you still want the city to grow, yet you have, as we also saw in your video, quite a history of growth not necessarily being sustainable and doing the best. So what would you say is a good size for your city? Does it have to be a bigger city? And how will you make sure that it doesn't really do the same thing all over again?
Yeah, we can still easily actually with the sustainability issues grow with couple of tens of thousands of people. So that's not a problem because we can still kind of tighten the city center areas and so on. But basically what we are now looking also with the nature positive side is that from every part of our city you need to have a connection to the nature, and nature has to be really inside the city development. So that's actually one of the biggest thing with the spatial planning and the land use that we have learned to how to do it alongside. And then of course I have to mention that the cooperation between the municipalities are very significant and key elements, because what is happening inside the city is one thing, but what is happening around your city with the other municipalities, and we are now working very closely with other municipalities, and we can tackle these questions that you raised or you raised.
Yeah. That was raised from here. And then I just want you focus a lot on the climate issue and on the emissions and on capping the emissions and being prepared for what the climate brings. Yeah. We know that these are new geopolitical times and that there is a lot of crisis that could be threatening us. Has that whole situation with what's happening in Ukraine and your membership of NATO, has that sort of changed the way you prepare for other crises?
Yeah, actually it has shown us that when a big global crisis start, it also influence on the economical side such a how would I say in such a magnific way that you need to look what is happening also with your goals. For example, in our sustainability goals, mobility has a very big role. But when looking in the economic side, so people don't have that many possibilities to buy electric cars, for example, and we have calculated a number of electric cars to be bigger than it is actually now, and so on. So you need to also look into what happens and how the crisis impact on your capabilities to do decisions in an individual world, because as I mentioned, we have already done the how would I say, the biggest but the so-called easiest solutions with the energy system where our decision making is the key role. But now the last miles are always those issues where you actually influence on the people's daily life, or you hope that their decision making or their capability to buy more sustainable elements are along in everyday life. So that's basically what happens in the crisis era, that you have to also look into the numbers again.
Mayor Niko Kyynäräinen, thank you so much for speaking to us. There's a little recognition for you from Nordregio when you leave the stage, but thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you.